The Bucks are. We've talked about some top-heavy teams, but I don't think there is a more top-heavy team
Yeah.
than the Bucks. Maybe the best player in basketball right now. I think you could make that case with Giannis. What are your initial impressions, Marshall? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think he is the best player in basketball right now. He's going to win back-to-back MVPs. I think anytime you have Giannis on, the Greek Freak on your roster, you have a very solid chance to win every single game. They have been the best regular season team in the NBA this season, going 53-12. I know at the beginning of the season when they were like ripping 12 games off in a row, there were some talks about them pushing for that Golden State 73-9 record. I never really saw it, but still, dude, what a season they've had. They still have a lot to prove in the playoffs. They haven't proven anything the last couple of years. But I think if Giannis and Middleton could end up proving that they're worthy in the playoffs and actually make some clutch buckets, then this can be a very scary team to me. And I think there's a reason that they're the number one seed in the East and actually the number one team in basketball as far as regular season goes.
Yeah. What do you think, Zach?
So, to me, the Bucks, and people have probably said this in the past, but I'm going to go ahead and try to trademark this right now, have the LeBron effect, meaning that they have one superstar in Giannis that can bring them to the championship. But the thing that I'm worried about with this team is they don't have that comparable Kyrie player to finish out plays for Giannis or for him to dish the ball off in the post.
Okay.
So,
do you think...
Go ahead,
You don't
Billy.
think that Middleton could be that player?
I mean, he's a great player. We've talked about it a little bit. He's not a superstar, which is what Kyrie Irving is for sure.
Yeah.
So,
but he's not quite there.
Right, but they do got a little bit of depth. Eric Bledsoe's okay. Kyle Korver's still draining threes, so we'll see what happens with them. They are my best team in the East for sure, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won the East for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Karim, what do you think of the Bucks?
I think, obviously I feel like they can definitely make a run just because you are slotted in the East. We have talked about how kind of anemic the East is when it comes to being able to put up some competition. So we've already talked about how Boston and Philadelphia almost and Toronto could give. Yeah, they could give Milwaukee a run for their money. But, if you put them in the West, those same teams, I don't think that you could make a run in the West with any of those teams. So I think they are definitely benefiting from being in the East. I still think that they definitely have a decent team. I'm not, wowed. They do have pretty decent depth, but, everyone's been saying, there's not that other player. Middleton definitely is a very good player that would start anywhere in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
I guess unless you slot him in LeBron's place or something like that. Obviously he won't start there, but I'm sure he can find a starting spot anywhere. The main issue I'm having, though, is that the depth is not comparable to, a Denver or teams like that.
Yeah, I feel like...
So they're not as deep as... Yeah, sorry. They're not as deep as Denver, and they're not as stacked as LA or something like that. So I'm very interested to see what ends up happening. I definitely could see them make the finals, but
yeah, they're definitely caught somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, they're in the middle.
I think that to me, it's just it drops off real quick, and when it does, it drops off hard. I feel like you've got three players, and then maybe a fourth that are pretty good, and then after that it's are these legitimate, are these even you've got a lot of guys that I don't know would make rosters in other markets. You've got three or four guys that on this roster that I'm would this guy even would he even be on the Nuggets roster?
Mm-hmm.
Or would he be playing would he be cut, would he be G League, would he they don't have much depth at all. It falls off real hard real quick.
If they want to make a run, they're going to need a couple X factors, and to me that's Middleton and Korver. If those players can hit shots when they need to, they can make a run. Karim Krim touched on this earlier. You take them out west, I don't think they're competing in LA at all. They can't. LA is going to destroy these guys. And then you take them to Denver, it's a little closer, but I still think Denver comes out on top. You take them to Houston, I think that's an interesting matchup there.
Yeah.
So taking them out west, it's interesting to me. I don't think that they're going to be.
I mean,
the
I
best
still
team.
think that they could definitely play. You just have Giannis that can literally just. He's just so athletic that he can just posterize whoever. He can shoot. He doesn't have a great jumper, but like he's not that
He's
bad.
not inept. Yeah.
Right. But the main issue I have with the team, like you got Ilyasova,
Yeah.
okay. You got a bunch of okay players. You got Chris Middleton, which is a really good player, and you got Giannis, which is, like everyone's been saying, arguably the most exciting and the best player in the NBA. I just don't know how much this is just them being able to dominate the East.
Well, I think all the teams in the East have benefited greatly after LeBron left, because now it's like all these teams, Toronto for example, last year that couldn't get past like LeBron in Miami and Cleveland are now able to like make a push, and I think there was a reason that the West is so much stronger now than the East, is because all these players were fleeing West, and LeBron's like, yo, I'm coming West now too. So the West is,
I mean, the West has always, like, even when LeBron was dominating the East.
Yeah.
Oh, are you saying that the East can get stronger now because LeBron isn't there to kind of detract from moving East?
I just think the teams that were like quote unquote contenders in the East and
That
not
never
really
were able
even-
to...
get past like LeBron. I think
Like
that
any
they're-
Western team in Golden State for like 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sort of like that. But then I just feel like people are kind of like scared of LeBron's teams because, like, dude, he went to what, 9 straight NBA championships or something like that? Something absolutely absurd. And that was all out East. So then all these players were like, dude, I'm done getting dominated by LeBron. There's like no chance. So I'm going out West. And then now, like, LeBron's like, hey guys, I'm coming to join you out West. Like,
that backfired real quick.
yeah, so now the West is so
clearly
top
stacked.
heavy. Yeah.
And you've got some of the teams out west are a lot better than a couple of the teams in the East.
Well, if you just compare the 8th seed West and East,
Yeah.
it's laughable.
Yeah.
There's a reason that like 12 West teams made it and only 9 East teams.
Yeah.
And then
And like the NHL is unbalanced, but like comparatively, the NBA is so much worse.
yeah.
Right.
Another thing I'll say about just the NBA and like their star power is if you have a guy like Giannis on your team, I mean we've even seen it like with LeBron in his old like Cleveland days before he went to Miami. There is so much to be said about a superstar's like impact on their team, because like if you look at the NHL, Crosby needs a bunch of surrounding players.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in the NFL, like Mahomes couldn't have done it with all these different other pieces, and even in the MLB, it's like if you have Arenado, you still need all these different pieces. But then in the NBA, if you have one like absolute megastar like Giannis is or LeBron, and then you have a couple of other like nice surrounding pieces like Middleton, Bledsoe, Lopez, and then hopefully Korver can come out the bench and drain some threes for you, then automatically you're a contender. It's like if you have that one guy in the NBA, then that is just so much better than the rest. That is a lot bigger of an impact than the top star players in all the other 3 major sports.
Other than arguably a quarterback, but I think that even then the most valuable player in sports is the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because if you've got that guy, you're likely headed to a championship.
Yeah.
I think like you could make the argument for like the best quarterback, because quarterbacks are like super heavily weighted, but that's about it.
I don't know. I have not doubts about Giannis. I still think he's probably one of the best players in the NBA. I just think that stopping Giannis is way easier than stopping LeBron or stopping...
Well, yeah. I would agree. I mean, dude, Giannis hasn't really proved that much in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
he had a very
have
mediocre
to see.
playoffs last season, and that's the reason that the Bucks imploded against
Right. See, because you have LeBron, you have someone that can shoot the three, someone that can shoot the mid range, someone that can just body you. He can outplay you literally anywhere on the court against almost anybody.
Yeah.
You got Giannis.
Is still just
you
a
put
freak, though.
True, but you just put huge bodies in the middle, literally just no offensive production, just sit there. You can. I don't know. You can shut down that center lane. I think a little bit better than you can against LeBron.
Probably a little bit better than LeBron. Yeah. I mean, that's a reason that in my eyes LeBron is possibly the greatest basketball player of all time. I know people maybe get mad at me.
Top 2.
He's definitely top 2. Depending on how he finishes his career, I'd almost elevate him.
If he puts another
but
ship,
then,
yeah.
I mean, dude, if he wins a championship with LA and wins it an MVP Finals or Finals MVP,
Exactly.
That would be 3 different franchises that he's won an NBA championship with and a Finals MVP with.
Then he brought all of them from mediocrity, almost sitting when he joins, not making the playoffs to fucking winning a championship a couple years later.
Except
I think other than that Cleveland team originally.
We're kind of getting on a tangent. We're supposed to be talking about Milwaukee, but then LeBron is just absolutely insane. No, it's awesome.
He's a conversation detour, but yeah, let's get into our verdicts here. Karim, let's start with you. Contender or pretender for Milwaukee?
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, you cut out.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, okay. I think they're definitely a contender, but I think they are pretending about how good they are. I think they're contending just on the fact that the East is poor.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I would kind of agree with that. I think they're definitely a contender, but I think their regular season record is a bit of a pretender. I don't think that they're the best team in basketball like their record shows. I think that's actually one of the LA teams, but out east they are definitely the best team out east. So I see them going through. Yeah.
All right, Zach, what do you think?
I'm gonna have to go contender just based on the fact that I think they're going to the finals. That's about it.
Right.
Yeah, that's enough. I mean, you're in the finals, you're contender. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're all on the same page here. This is a contender, maybe a slightly overrated one. They're not quite as good as some of the teams out west, but in the East, it's not as good, and they are the best team out east.
Yeah.
So
this is my only team in the East that I'm calling a contender. I don't know about you guys, but this is the only team I did it for, at least this year.
Yeah, I called a couple others. I think I called the Raptors and the Celtics both contenders.
Oh,
that too.
I think I'd still put Milwaukee as the favorite to win the East. But I called the other 2 contenders because I think that Milwaukee's not that great. So basically, you know what I mean?
It's gonna be interesting to see what shakes out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.